Okay, so we'll call the meeting to order at 7:01. Can we get a roll call?
Peltonen,
Here.
McCanny,
Here?
Hutchins,
Here.
Berger,
Here.
Summers, Rankin.
Okay, so let the minutes reflect that Chris Rankin is going to be absent and Chris Summers is on his way, running a few minutes late.
You have to excuse Chris, have a motion to excuse Chris.
Okay, so can I make a motion to excuse Chris Rankin?
Support.
Okay. All in favor?
Aye.
Against? All right, so then the motion carries for excusing Chris Rankin. Okay, agenda changes, approval of the agenda. So is there anybody that would like to make a motion to approve the agenda as it's written, or are there any changes that need to be brought up?
I will make a motion to accept the agenda as submitted.
Support?
I'll second.
Sorry.
No, you're fine.
So, motion made by Joe and supported by Katrina. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Against? Okay, so go ahead and move on to, would that be considered the approval of the minutes too?
No, that got to be a separate motion.
Okay. So make a motion to approve the minutes as written from last meeting. I'll make that motion if I'm allowed to approve the minutes as they're written. Does anybody
Support.
want support? Okay, motion by McKinney, support by Joe. All in favor?
Aye.
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 Anybody against? Okay. Public comment, not related to the agenda tonight. Is there any public comment tonight? No, okay. Then we'll move on. So old business is next. We're going to talk about master plan, and I believe that was something that Chris was going to give us an update on, unless somebody knows anything else on that for the master plan data. And I don't have anything from him on that. Just double checking he didn't send anything else. Okay, so then moving on to Halloween. That's our next and our final event for the year. And Halloween is moving along okay. We have secured funding for the donuts and the cider. And now we're in the tractor rides. Is that right? Do we have the tractor rides completely secured?
Not yet. I'll get on the second half.
Do you have any reason to believe that we might have an issue with that?
I don't.
Okay, good. So then that's well on its way. We have decorations are all being taken care of by Miss Diane Bibb as well as Mr. Charlie Lamont. And we are working the next and final thing to arrange is the costume contest and getting all that set up. So unless we get a tornado, I think it's well underway. Anybody have anything else to add to that? Will you guys be able to help out during I know you were planning to be there during the event, Halloween.
Of course.
Joe and Gail, any chance you guys can help with passing out donuts or pouring cider or?
Yeah, what time is the event?
It starts at 3 and ends at 6 on Saturday.
That's the donut time too.
Yeah?
I can come.
We aren't gonna give you any ahead of time. Don't even think about it.
Yeah, I've done the donuts before.
Yeah. In addition to just the regular Halloween things, because of it being the master plan that we've been working on, I think it would be really good to try to get more surveys done, like we were doing at Holidays.
Oh, yeah.
I think that would be really good, because I think a lot of the people coming to Halloween are village residents, and we can, that's one of those events where we can really target our own residents.
Right.
Would anybody be interested in volunteering for that? It's not just about standing at the table, but really interacting and walking the crowd and coming up to them and asking them if they'd mind filling out a survey.
I'll do that again.
You could do that? Okay,
Yeah.
thank you. We'll see if we can get some more volunteers on that too. If we can get maybe 3 or 4 people, we might cover a lot more of the crowd. That's all I have for Halloween, unless somebody else has anything else on it.
3 to 6 Saturday.
Saturday, the 29th.
29th, that's on that.
Yeah.
It's on the calendar.
We'll talk later
Did you get my
about
text?
prizes.
Yes.
Okay.
Yep. We should reflect that Chris Summers is here now, and you were about maybe 4 minutes late? Yeah, he started a minute late, 3 minutes late.
Yeah.
Um,
According to that clock.
Okay, so that's, nobody has anything else to add to Halloween, I'll move on to general business. Discussion of the new play structure. So everybody has the form, the info from Game Time. And I'll start the discussion by saying that I am happy with the appearance of this structure. Kind of reminds me of like Ninja Warrior playland, you know. But more importantly, it's going to be pretty hard to graffiti that up and tag it up. There's not a lot of solid surfaces, which I think would be, good for our crowd.
That's interesting.
I think it's good that there's no enclosed tunnels as well.
Yes, I noticed that too, yeah. There's not a lot of places to hide, there's not a lot of places to write on. If they do write on them, it's not really easy for other people to be disturbed by them because there's not a lot of places to write on.
And there's replacement parts available?
I don't know. Brian, are there replacement parts available if something goes wrong?
Yeah, I mean, this is a newer structure, so,
At least for a while.
yeah, so,
Yeah.
I mean, you can definitely see the difference between this and what's there. So you can see what, how outdated the structure
Yeah.
that's there is. So they've gotten away from some of, like you said, the tubes and the enclosures and stuff like that, so,
The makeout tubes?
yeah.
Yeah, looks fine.
So this would be a spring installation. So over the winter, the DPW would have to remove the old structure and prep it for the new structure. So if we get this approved tonight, then it would go into the council packet to be approved by council, and we'll get it ordered, and then hopefully we can be one of the first ones in the spring to get it going.
In my true fashion, I do have some questions about why we went with Game Time, and did we get other quotes? And
They were the only ones that would return my calls. I did check into a wooden structure. The only wooden structure that the lady did call me back, she said they're mainly residential, but they do have commercial versions. I asked how it was secured in the ground. She says, oh, the weight of it is just freestanding.
yeah, that's not like what we were talking about. We were
No,
talking about
so-
like what Linden
but-
has.
But when I looked it up, that was the one that came up and had the most options. And I asked her about maintenance on it. She said, well, we recommend after the first year to stain it. And then I said, well, how often after that? She says, depends on the weather, depends on the sun, depends on that. But she said every 3 to 5 years for staining.
Don't want that.
And stuff like that. So I did check into it, and the structures were, the largest structure was maybe a third of this size. So you'd
Okay.
have to put several structures together, and with them being freestanding, she said the weight, I said, well, you get some drunken teens up there, they can move anything, so. They can get picnic tables on top of a pavilion, they can move a structure, so,
Did they do that at our park?
It would probably be
Yes.
so.
That's a good one.
Which structure?
picnic tables. But I was talking about for a wood structure that was
No,
freestanding.
I mean, they put them on
A
what
picnic
roof?
table on top of the pavilions, or the
Well, we
gazebo.
weren't talking about that when we were talking about wooden.
Yeah,
We
yeah.
meant those ones where the pylons they get buried
Yeah,
in the
and I did
ground.
look the one up in Linden, and it's just a series of decks, there's not really a lot to it. It's just different levels, so
Right.
there's not any slides.
It's not freestanding.
Right, but there's no slides, there looked like one side might have had some monkey bars or something along that line, but most of it was just different levels of decking that kids could climb from one level to the next. So
Right.
this gives some more options, and
I did look into that too and online, and I found that pretty universally, the wooden play structures have just been,
more residential than commercial.
yeah, for commercial, that they just don't have the maintenance that they need, that they're getting out of the metal ones.
Right.
But I did look, I found a website called Pro Playgrounds, and they're out of, they're out of Florida, but they
This-
do ship them. They do have an option where you could pay them to come install, but I imagine that would be ridiculous to have somebody come up from Florida to do it.
The rep for this company lives in Fenton, so
Yeah.
he's local, so I think that's a plus if we
For sure.
need replacement parts or have questions about the structure itself.
But I just wanted to let you know, though, that this one, Pro Playgrounds, their systems are about half of what you've got marked for similar systems. So
Well,
I don't know if it's gonna, if it's good to go with just the one guy that called or answered the phone, or if that's really in the market, like,
if we want to keep looking, if you look through this price is good until November 1st. After
Yeah.
that, grant funding could not be available. So if we want to take that, I mean, whatever direction you send me, that's the direction we'll go. But if we lose this price, that price is going to jump $28,000
right? But my concern is this price is over what we were trying to do, right?
by $990.
So we always gotta kick in 1,000 about.
It's not 82,000 plus 31,000?
The total is $100,990.88.
Okay. Just for comparison, I brought some copies, I could leave it with you. Again, this company's not local, not even close, they're down in Florida. But,
Well, whatever direction you guys send me, I'm just making you aware of all the, what,
but
It
it's
took a long
significant,
time
it's more than half the amounts for their structures.
I understand that, but what is their delivery time?
Well, I called them and they said 8 to 16 weeks, but that's if they have it in stock, depends on what you order, all that, you know how that goes.
Yes.
And it be coming from, and it's not American made, they get all their product out of China. But even their website kind of looks a lot like this one, like, these guys are probably out of China too, right?
That I don't know. This is a local guy, and I talked to him before, and he was one that would return my call. The one I talked to before, where I got the pricing for the rubber matting, they were out of Colorado or somewhere out west, and you gotta figure freight into this. I mean, this freight is not cheap, but if we're coming from farther away or wherever they're shipping it to, we're looking at $20,000 in freight. So if we move farther away, that freight's gonna go up, and if anybody else didn't notice, gas went up 35 cents a gallon today, so freight's not getting cheaper.
No,
So whatever you
right.
guys direct me to do, if we put this on hold, you take the chance of losing that $28,000 discount.
Yeah, I certainly don't want to do that, but I also don't want to just, I'm pretty frugal. I am concerned that it's only the one guy. And I'll send you these, can you pass these over, or have a glance at them before you pass them over, but, just as a comparison, there's a system similar to what we have, which I really would rather get away from because of all of the indoor areas. But for $36,599, and then their biggest system comes in at $60,000.
But what does that include?
Well, I guess it includes all the different pieces and stuff. It doesn't include the.
Do they give you a breakdown of it?
You get a picture.
Yeah.
Like we have here for cost?
Yeah, I think so. This is a description of everything it's including. Doesn't include install, it doesn't include delivery. Those
This
are
is
all
with
things.
installation.
Yeah, the installation is here, item number
The
one.
installation is item number one, but we're at almost 83,000 for the pieces for the actual system.
Right. So if you just use that as an installation cost, you're saving about $10,000 maybe.
No, if, the,
Well,
the
'cause
most
it says-
expensive one was $20,000 less of their most expensive version.
Right, but you gotta add $30,000 plus for installation. So once you add the installation in there, you're at 100,000 or you're at 90,000.
Right, well,
Plus shipping.
Plus
Plus
shipping.
shipping,
Yes,
yeah.
so the shipping, shipping and installation is included in this price. So whatever you want me to do, you just need to let me know, but like I said, you take the chance of losing the discount on this one.
what do you guys think?
When's the council meeting?
Next week, Tuesday,
And they're meeting just once a month now, too?
yes. This is your last meeting till
This
January.
is our last
Yeah, I
meeting,
know
yeah.
that.
This is what, sir.
'Cause
And this is, Sarah, this is wood framed?
No, none of anything that I looked at was wood. I did look at some, it came in fine wood frame options to buy, you'd have to just have a craftsman do it. But, information that I found was that it's really just outmoded, nobody's doing those anymore because the maintenance is so much worse than going with these metal options,
Oh, yeah.
yeah.
Just for, last
So I
time I
didn't
checked
pursue
on,
that.
on goods, stain, UV, resistant,
Yeah,
this was a couple years ago, was $60 a gallon. It lasts for 3 years. That's the expensive stuff, and now it's probably up to about $90 a gallon. So wood is just a pain.
wood's out.
So
I was just a
You
thought I
need
had
an
one meeting.
answer.
so you guys, what it comes
But-
down to is if we decide to go ahead and send this on to council, there's a really good chance we can get it put into spring. If we'd like to shop around, if anybody has any objection to the pricing, there's a really good chance it's not gonna get the install in the spring. It's not guaranteed we're gonna get it in the spring, but we certainly have a better chance if we move forward today. How do you guys feel?
But
I
to
would-
qualify for this grant, we need an answer by November 1st.
Yeah. And I think we ought to maybe dance with the one that brought us. We've been looking at this,
The grant or the deal?
pardon?
That you're talking about the quote, this quote's valid.
Same.
We're not gonna lose our grant money by November 1st.
This one here,
Yeah.
that's been submitted.
Yeah.
There's grant money involved and everything else, and we've been discussing this now for most of summer, and I think it's time to move.
Well, and also too, I don't know if it matters to you guys, but I did show it to my kids and they both thought it was pretty cool looking. Did you show it to Emma? They were the ones who pointed out, it's like a Ninja Warrior course.
This one.
Yes.
Well, I'd like to make a motion to accept the bid from Game Time. It has been presented tonight. That's my thoughts. I'd like to make that motion.
I second that.
So we have a motion on the table from Joe, seconded by Katrina. All in favor, say
I
aye.
have to do a roll call.
No,
Oh, we have to do a roll
Need a
call on
We
that?
need a roll call.
McCanny,
Yeah,
Hutchins,
Yes.
Summers,
Yes.
Berger,
Yes.
Peltonen,
Yes.
Okay. So that'll be on the council agenda, and then once council approves it, then we'll get it ordered and get the ball moving.
okay, so then moving on to reports.
I had some discussion with Jenny Chandler, who her group of volunteers do the H at Yanshaw Park.
Mm-hmm.
And we suggested, she's looking to wean away from it, and this year the flowers didn't fare real well. So we're looking at the option of putting in stone with a permanent H. That way there's less maintenance, and every year they're not scrambling to get flowers or scrambling to get volunteers to plant them. So I just wanted bring that forward to the park if they have any objections.
I do, I just don't like stone, and I don't think it was gonna stay well on a not level area.
Well, we would build a frame around the H to hold the H in place, and then there would be fabric underneath, landscape fabric.
I think it might do better being elevated like that if it was maybe stone around the H and the H was just pavers, something that wasn't going to mix, like doing the two-color stone is pretty 80s, I think. I think it's dated, and I don't think it's workable on an elevated surface like that.
So perhaps that's something, though, that if you want to move in this direction, that the commission could take up in your January, February meeting, because you still have a little time before the spring planting would take place. If you can land on something that's a little more permanent and maintenance-free. I mean, the problem is, truthfully, getting volunteers.
Yeah.
And if Ms. Chanter and her group, they've done it for many years, if they are moving on and are no longer able to do it, unless somebody firm wants to step in and say, I will be responsible for this, then I think that's probably the route to go. But I think you could explore different options. Stones,
Yeah, or
pavers,
even
there's
just,
a lot of permanent
even
options.
shrubbery that we don't have to replace every year. The shrubbery stays stone around it, something like that. I think if you put two different color stones together, I don't want to be offensive, but I think it's a dated look, and I don't think it's practical on a not flat surface. Especially with kids, if anybody climbs up there, the stone's gonna, I just don't think it's gonna stay and
Well,
look
someone climbs
appealing.
to the flower bed, they grow the flowers, so it's the same.
Yeah, but
Same
they might be
concept.
more apt to climb on stones than a flower bed, though. But I certainly appreciate their efforts every year. I think they do a beautiful job. I'm sorry to have them wanting to change it, because I love the way they've been doing it. But it's a lot of work, and we don't have a lot of the volunteers, so I do understand. You know, I wonder if it's something, too, we can bring up with the DDA Design Committee. Maybe we can help, because is that part of the DDA Main Street Park as well?
It is.
So I wonder, though, if maybe we can do, have them help out with working it into the budget they do for,
The problem isn't the cost of the flowers, the problem is the volunteers to maintain it.
so yeah, but if we did shrubbery, it's a lot more than flowers, cost-wise. But then you don't have to maintain it.
And that would be a one-time cost.
Right.
So again, I don't think it's the cost, whatever you do that way, I don't think is really the issue. It's going forward. There is going to be a little maintenance to it.
Yeah,
Of course,
shrubbery's
yeah.
gotta be trimmed and
Yeah.
watered and,
And it's only good for so many years, it gets woody.
right.
Also, the Girl Scouts and the Boy Scouts are getting very active in town, in township parks. They could be approached for maybe a scout projects for maintenance and stuff. So you pass that on to the DDA.
I think this is definitely something we should bring up again at our next meeting, after the first of the year. So they're not wanting to do it anymore, or they're just wanting to
They're
change
getting
it?
old.
I know.
She was receptive to the idea of the stone. She thought that was a good idea because it made it maintenance-free
Yeah.
when I talked to her, so.
But we have such problems with vandalism in our other area. I don't know that it is gonna be maintenance-free. I don't know that it is
We don't have so
gonna
much at that
be.
park because it's in a highly visible area.
Yeah.
True,
One other comment.
yeah.
When I lived in Arizona, all the small towns around there had a hill or a mountain. And they go up in that mountain and put the initials of the town. Like I lived in Casa Grande, so it was CG up on the mountainside, and they always kept them painted real well, so you could see it for miles. And it was a rock out there then. It was no maintenance. You only had to paint it once every 5 or 10 years.
Like
With-
landscape rock
Yeah,
with
yeah.
small rock?
Yeah, it looked really nice. Even where there was vegetation growing, like up in, up around the Grand Canyon where you do have grass, they still use the rocks there as a theme. It was pretty nice.
Yeah. Any other reports, Brian?
Still waiting to hear from the same vendor about the slide at Lakeside,
The one that's,
the
Got
one that's
the-
wrapped in snow fence.
yeah.
So,
I have just a real short one, as I pull the microphone close. So I met this past week with David Lossing, And so David is the former mayor from the city of Linden. Since he stepped down from office, I think he was in office there for 18 years, he's now an official with the Shiawassee Headwaters Trail Group. He kind of heads that up. And Chris is actually the village's liaison with that group. I'm not sure how active he's been, but the Shiawassee
Chris
group, they're
Thomas?
always
Not
looking,
me.
they're always looking to get more involved with the municipalities in which the river traverses through. Holly, of course, being the headwaters at Waterworks Park. And so his meeting with me was, he was inquiring about the village's interest in putting in a meter to gauge the depth of the river. And they want to put it in at dozens of spots along the river, starting in Holly and then going all the way through to where it eventually ends up, is it Saginaw Bay?
Yes.
In
Well,
Saginaw.
Saginaw River, yeah.
Okay, Saginaw River.
It
Uh,
ends in Chesaning. I'm pretty sure. I can check on my cell phone, but.
Okay, well, so yeah, and so it's very apropos actually to this discussion.
Yeah.
Because what they want to do is they wanted to monitor this and have that information available on an app so that kayakers or canoeists, they can gauge where they want to put in at and where they want to traverse the water stream based upon the depth of the water. Because as you know, many parts of the Shiawassee, they have to actually get out of their boats, carry them around obstructions or through shallow areas, and then get back in. Now, like everything else in life, it's not free. It's $1,500 annually. And so I said to him, I said, well, who's going to pay that? And he said, well, he says, the Shiawassee Headwaters Trail would be willing to pay 1/3 of it. They would like to see the village parks pay 1/3 of it, and then look for a sponsor, whether it be the DDA or the chamber, to pay 1/3 of it. But they're looking for the village to sign on for a minimum of $500 per year with no end date, I guess until it's removed at some point, if it ever is. And I think there's some more questions to be answered, like how firm is this commitment from Shiawassee Headwater Trails? Is it a forever commitment, or are they going to get it in 1 or 2 years and then say, well, now the village's portion is $1,000, and if the DDA and the
upgraded.
chamber even agree to begin the process, are they going to continue in the process? I mean, I can see potentially where the village could end up on the hook for the full amount every year. And so I think, you know, it's a limited budget, and I think really what this group will have to determine is an investment that's worthwhile to the village park system. Because you'll be making the recommendation to council on when to do this. Now, he originally wanted to come to this meeting. I asked him to wait until a January or February agenda, knowing that this was your last meeting. You had some things to get done, and we would still be able to talk about, if you decided to do it, where it would fit into your budget, because as Sarah and I, we talked a little bit about new programs with the parks, but I mean, there's just a finite budget for everything. And so, you know, it may take elimination of some other items, and quite frankly, you don't have many items to eliminate because you have a small budget. So I think, but what I would like to do, if it's okay with you, if you're interested in hearing him, is schedule him for that January or February meeting. You can get some more detail on it. But in the meantime, I don't know, maybe you'll hear something about it, because they are pretty active, that group, in talking about it and about where they're going. But I just wanted to give you an idea kind of what was coming down the pike in that front. So then if I hear you right, you'll have at least a couple of items to start your new year out with the H and Ganshaw, and then the Shiawassee River Trail presentation. Pardon me? Oh, and the master plan. So, I mean, you'll have some definite items to work on.
Yeah. Do they happen to tell you like what the fee is, the annual fee? I mean, I can understand having a fee to have it to buy the equipment, but
So I think the original
$1,500
meter
to
itself
maintain it?
is kind of like on a grant type basis. So there is no cost for the equipment. The only cost is for the monitoring, and it's $14.99 a year.
$1,499 to
Yes.
monitor it?
Yes. Now, I mean, truthfully, I think if Waterworks Park was developed a little more, I think maybe there would be some benefit to it if Waterworks Park itself, it gets a fair amount of kayak traffic now. Whether it gets enough to justify that type of expenditure, I'm not sure. At one time, we had a canoe kayak livery who was talking to the village about being able to do rentals from that site. And if something like that were to develop, I think maybe, because then you're looking at drawing people and making that more of a destination location for tourists rather than people who maybe live in the area and just bring their kayak and put in and go. So, I do
Or
think there
call
are.
so-and-so halfway up and ask them, or, yeah.
Yeah, I think there are some development possibilities in the future that may interest the DDA and the chamber, but I'm not sure those are there right now. But I think
Another-
from an informational standpoint, I think having Mr. Lossing come probably is of no harm, and you'll have the information. Just remember, he's a very good speaker, though, so just be, I don't want to say wary, but just be cognizant of that. And I think it's good to get the information. I'm not sure I'd be ready to jump in with both feet.
Jerry,
Yeah.
also, they just put that new, road was open yesterday, I just drove by, and there's a big kayak launch on Fish Lake Road, which is out of the village limits, I believe.
It is.
Township.
So, yeah, it's in the township, so personally, when I drove by, I go, everybody's gonna be putting in here now, because it's got a nice paved parking lot, it's a kayak launch, Devin drove by, so that's what I'm thinking, it's probably.
So I think it depends upon the length of
Yeah.
time. I think it depends upon the length of time that they're going to put in.
Yeah.
If they put in at Waterworks Park and go to Fenton, I believe it's an hour and a half or 2 hours on the water. And so if somebody just wanted to go on a short ride from Waterworks Park to Fish Lake Road.
Yeah, they put out at Fish, get
yeah.
out there.
So short ride. So you may get
Yeah.
some, and people that want to get a little more distance will still start at Waterworks Park. But I think there's definitely room for more improvement at Waterworks Park. But I don't know, do you have that depth gauge? Do you have it at Waterworks, or do you have it a little farther down the trail at the Fish Lake Road site?
So they just want to put in one, and it's $1,400 a year.
Correct.
And they're talking about putting in, do you know how often they want to, and if the other
I
municipalities
don't think they
are on
have
board?
every space gauged out, but I do know his appointment following mine was with George Cullis.
Fish Lake.
So I have not had an opportunity to talk to George to see what his thoughts were on it, but that's a proposed site also. So that's all.
Yeah. Any other reports? Okay, so then moving on to board member comments. Joe, do you have any comments? you'd like
Nope,
to-
I have nothing.
Gail,
No, not at this time.
Katrina,
Not at this time?
and Chris.
Not
Okay, so then, I did have a comment that I was gonna make, I forget what it was now. Oh, we have, a park cleanup coming up.
Yeah, that's
Even
what I
though we
wanted
don't
to
have
mention.
another meeting, we have a park cleanup coming up, I think it's mid-November, right?
November 6th.
November 6th.
So just make sure we're all, remember about that. We need to start pushing that on, we want as many volunteers there as possible. So we need to just start promoting for that. Make sure that doesn't fall by the
November
wayside and
6th.
it's just us. That would not be
We
good.
need to get
9
people there.
a.m.
And you have us on the schedule for that, for the dumpsters? Okay, good.
Is that Waterworks again?
Yeah. Now, we were talking about doing up by the new pad that you put in the parking lot. So if we can get a dumpster up in that area too, and then also over by the launch, we can get a dumpster. Do we need to do more over there by the launch?
As long as it's dry enough down
As
by
far
the
as
launch.
cleaning out the invasives, yes.
The launch
Yeah,
needs
by
it?
the launch needs some more, yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
So
we've
maybe
got-
that's the
we-
location for both.
It would be nice to get the whole thing cleared, but
Yeah, you didn't bring up anything about those gazebos that you wanted to put on there. Are those going in before?
Well, we ran,
Freeze?
due to my accident, they were coming from Sam's Club, so they became they were a seasonal item, so next spring, I'll bring it up again, depending on how much money, once we firm up the price for this. So,
Okay. All right, if nobody else has any other comments, we'll move on to public comment. Anybody have any public comment? Scott. That's you. Please state your name and your address for Chris.
Scott Schlag, 6378 Weatherford Court, Holly Township. I just wanted to do a quick report on the vintage baseball game we had on September 11th. It was a big success, I thought. Actually, while I was sitting here, I was working on a barnstorming tour for Holly for next season.
Cool.
So I've got interest right now from 4 clubs to come out. So
Separate days or
separate
the
days.
same day?
Nope. I'm looking to a minimum of 1 game a month from May through September.
Wow.
And then if I get more interest, I'll just I'll fill in the gaps in between. We have equipment because I spent a fortune getting flags and banners and bases and all that all set up for next season. So we're good on that. The one change that I'd like to make for next season, if weather permits, is flipping how we play. Instead of playing on the Little League field, playing the opposite of the Little League field, where there's some minor things that need to be taken care of, like a tree needs to be dropped and the soccer goals need to be removed. But that's about it. So I just wanted to stop and say that I am working on that. There is a Facebook page called Vintage Baseball and Historic Holly, if anybody wants to see it. And there's lots of pictures from the last couple Carrie Nation games. And actually, I talked to a team from Akron, Ohio about coming up the Saturday before the Carrie Nation game and playing on that Saturday of the holidays. So they're going to let me know.
Cool. Okay.
So that's it.
Scott, I went, and they can play. I
Yes.
was impressed.
Yes, they are 2 of the older clubs in the state and 2 of the most, when it comes to showcasing the game and showing how it was meant to be played. They're the teams you want to. We already have our team set for next season. There was actually an open challenge given right at the end of the game, so we have our team set for next season's championship. So.
Neat. These 4 games that you're talking about, would they be weekends? or
Yes, they'd be a
weekdays?
Saturday or Sunday.
Okay,
So,
great. Thanks for the,
and I'll let you know
Update.
once I get them scheduled.
Keep us
Can
posted.
you look for supply any gloves? Oh, no problem. Dropped off. And that's
Oh, yeah, thank you.
supplies.
yes, that was
Thank
really
you for
helpful.
gloves, too.
What's that?
I have more.
Okay, we'll take them. We'll need them for November. I have the ones you brought us. I'll bring those, but we can replenish them. Okay, so if there's no other public comment, then this meeting. Josh, you have a public comment?
No, I never have public comment.
Okay.
I was just going to turn it off.
And the meeting will be adjourned at 7:40.
Thank you.